Well, what is ketamine? Is ketamine allow people to become responsive when otherwise maybe they'd be too amped up to listen to anything?
So ketamine actually is, I think of, there's two things. So ketamine, I think of it as Miracle-Gro in the brain. So when the brain is just not responding, is not, the medications aren't lifting the mood and, or the brain is really stuck in this kind of constant dark thinking and, heavy, clouded, and, just cannot move through the brain fog and so forth. That's where I think of ketamine, because ketamine works like Miracle-Gro in the brain. We literally see new dendritic growth within 24 hours of ketamine administration, and it continues on. We have this big neuroplastic window, for this period of time where the brain nutrient factors actually increase. So the brain starts to really kind of spark and grow, where the flip side one is the DSR, where this is where we shut down that overactive process, the kind of mechanical process of an overactive nervous system that's on, like constant hypervigilance. It's like pushing the gas pedal always. We can say, wait a second, let's anesthetize those nerve bundles and get it back into that regular repeated like pattern so that we can slow the brain down if we're talking about, the PTSD type symptoms of aggravation, irritation, frustration, no sleep, anxiety, hypervigilance, and all of that. So they're really very complementary. And those are like kind of the two baselines that when I talk about getting things reset, those are the two huge components to the, basically two sides of the same coin.
So again, anecdotally, what do people say when they come out of a treatment? Like, how are they affected? People you've seen.
Yeah. So ketamine, we tend to think of that as like the love, acceptance, the interconnectivity. And I don't mean that in a woo-woo sort of way. I mean, certainly you can think of it in that way, but people start to see where, oh, these things are all connected and interrelated, and that they have much more kind of self-acceptance and can look at what's going on in the context of a bigger picture being versus being like really overwhelmed by maybe some piece that's really negative. They can kind of process through stuff that was really painful or unable to be looked at in a more objective sort of way. And this is where kind of the expansion of the possibilities of how we think about things. And so that when we're making new connections, we're asking the brain to talk to itself or think about things in new ways. And if there's areas that are slowed down, we can actually bypass those or boost them up, kind of like I talked about with the hippocampus, is that all of these parts of our brain need to be functioning optimally to produce those chemicals we try and replace with things like antidepressants and so forth. And we don't do it very well. And so we're trying to get the brain to get really excited. And that's where people feel really like at peace. They come out of there like feeling much more loving, and that's loving towards themselves, accepting of situations versus feeling so like bitter or feeling like angry or unable to get past certain feelings. It kind of gives them this new perspective. And it's not in a, oh my gosh, it's like rainbows and kittens and things like that. It's really like, oh, and it pulls them out of this kind of rutted thinking.